In a surprising revelation, the FBI uncovered a mysterious secret concealed beneath the lavish estate of film icon Gene Hackman. What was believed to be a standard investigation quickly took a chilling twist when agents stumbled upon a hidden tunnel beneath the property. But what they uncovered inside left them stunned and speechless. Unsettling artifacts, bizarre items, and cryptic messages only deepened the mystery. What could truly be hidden beneath Hackman's mansion? Join us as we unravel this spine-tingling case and the jaw-dropping revelations that could alter everything. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more updates on this mysterious investigation. At 11 a.m., the world was rocked by breaking news regarding the mysterious death of legendary actor Gene Hackman. According to ABC News, authorities have secured a search warrant for his $4 million mansion in New Mexico. What they found inside, however, has sent the case spiraling in a chilling and unexpected direction. When FBI agents entered Gene Hackman's opulent mansion, they immediately sensed something was off. The faint clues scattered throughout the house suggested more than just an accident or natural death. But the true shock came when they uncovered a hidden passage beneath the estate, a tunnel not included in the mansion's blueprints leading to a dark, unexplained chamber. If you find this story intriguing and want to dive deeper into more unsolved mysteries, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss any updates on this case. Share the video with your friends and family to discuss the chilling discoveries beneath Gene Hackman's mansion. If you have any theories about the hidden secrets surrounding this case, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll continue to track the latest developments, bringing you closer to uncovering the truth behind this eerie story. As the agents carefully descended the aging staircase, their flashlight beams illuminated the cold stone walls, revealing a sight that left them in stunned silence. Beneath the opulent mansion of a Hollywood icon, they discovered a hidden storage room, filled with enigmatic items that appeared to have been untouched for years. Stacks of old wooden crates, cloaked in layers of dust, crowded the space, creating an eerie atmosphere straight out of a horror film. Some crates had deteriorated with time, while others remained sealed as though they hadn't been disturbed in decades. When an agent cautiously lifted the lid of one crate, the room fell into an eerie silence. Inside, they uncovered old, yellowed photographs of unfamiliar faces, people from another time, their identities a complete mystery. Some of the images captured secretive gatherings, strange locations, and cryptic interactions. Alongside the photographs lay ancient files bound with leather straps, their pages darkened by age, filled with hurriedly scribbled notes that appeared to document events no one could have ever anticipated. In another crate, the agents uncovered a collection of personal items: an antique pocket watch, delicate jewelry, and a small notebook filled with handwritten notes. The notebook's contents seemed to reveal confessions or memories, hinting at something significant. But that wasn't the end of their discoveries. As the light swept across the dark corner of the tunnel, an old iron door emerged from the shadows. It was devoid of a handle, only a heavy rusted lock clinging to it, worn by years of neglect. What could lie behind this door? Was it connected to the mysterious deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife? Or does it conceal an even darker secret, one that authorities are desperate to keep hidden? The FBI agents have remained tight-lipped about what they truly discovered, but whispers are starting to circulate. Some speculate that the tunnel leads to an undiscovered underground network, while others believe it holds evidence of a conspiracy that has been concealed for decades. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear. This investigation is far from over. In an old wooden crate, the agents uncovered a peculiar set of tools. Some appeared to be the work of a skilled craftsman, while others resembled devices used in bizarre experiments. Skeptical glances passed between the agents. What had really transpired in this hidden space? As they pressed on, they uncovered strange markings etched into the walls and mysterious symbols scattered across the floor. The sight raised unsettling questions. Are these simply remnants of Hackman's past, or do they suggest something far darker and more dangerous lurking beneath the surface? Each item uncovered seemed to fuel even wilder theories about what Gene Hackman might have been hiding. The answer could very well lie within the tunnel itself, a mysterious passageway that might hold the key to secrets no one ever expected. As investigators painstakingly piece together the scattered clues, the public eagerly anticipates every new development, hoping that one day they will finally uncover the truth that still lurks in the shadows. Gene Hackman's estate has long been renowned not only for its multi-million-dollar value, but also for its mysterious atmosphere. Nestled in a secluded area, surrounded by towering walls and a massive gate, the mansion stands like an impenetrable fortress where wealth and secrets seem to blend seamlessly. Every aspect of the estate, from the meticulously manicured gardens to the opulent rooms, adds to its grand allure. However, hidden beneath this imposing exterior lies a shocking discovery: a secret tunnel. This concealed passage has ignited a wave of speculation. Was it an escape route built for times of crisis, or perhaps a hidden space designed to conceal highly classified documents and valuable artifacts? The tunnel not only raises questions about the mansion itself, but also about Hackman's enigmatic life. What makes the situation even more troubling is the meticulous attention to detail in the design and security of the estate, as though there was a deliberate effort to hide certain aspects of his existence. With each new discovery, the mansion seems to transform into a labyrinth of secrets, sparking growing public curiosity and leaving everyone on edge. The case took a more unsettling turn when the FBI uncovered the tunnel during their investigation into Hackman's suspicious death. How could such a hidden passage exist for so long without anyone noticing? The mystery only deepens, and now, with every piece of evidence uncovered, the case grows even more complex, leaving the world eagerly awaiting the truth. Early reports indicate that the tunnel might have been constructed decades ago, potentially for a particular reason. Some theories propose that it was a secret passage designed to shield Gene Hackman from prying eyes, allowing him to maintain his privacy. More speculative ideas suggest it could lead to a concealed underground safe room, packed with valuable or sensitive materials. Even more intriguing are the possibilities that the tunnel may connect to adjacent properties, hinting at a secret network of passageways that had been hidden from the public for years. As investigators delved further into the tunnel, they stumbled upon a collection of odd and perplexing items: aged documents, unfamiliar devices, and perhaps most intriguingly, cryptic symbols carved into the stone walls. One agent remarked that the symbols resembled an unsolved code, possibly holding the key to a deeper mystery. This discovery only fueled more unsettling theories. Was Gene Hackman concealing evidence of a secret project, or was he merely fixated on the idea of creating a hidden sanctuary beneath his home? The possibilities seemed endless, and the case grew more mysterious with every step. Investigators are now digging into property records to uncover whether local contractors or previous owners had any knowledge of the tunnel's existence. In interviews with nearby residents, some recall strange tales of workers who mysteriously vanished after working on the mansion, sparking even more intrigue. Others suggest the tunnel could be a relic of an older time, perhaps an escape route designed for safety or secrecy long before Hackman's ownership. With each new lead, the mystery deepens, raising more questions than answers about what truly lies beneath the mansion's grand facade. As public attention grows towards the tunnel, rumors spread at lightning speed. Some believe it's where Hackman hid a secret treasure, while others suspect underground dealings may have taken place. But is this tunnel simply a relic of the past, or could it be the key to a larger mystery? This discovery has sparked an unprecedented scale of investigation. The discovery of the tunnel beneath Gene Hackman's mansion has sent shockwaves through the investigation, particularly when combined with the strange circumstances surrounding the deaths of the actor and his wife, Betsy. As investigators continue to explore the depths of the case, many are beginning to wonder if the tunnel holds critical clues that could reveal the true events leading up to their final days. The mysterious death of Hackman and the strange signs surrounding it have only heightened suspicions about the tunnel's purpose. Some theorize that it may have served as a secret escape route, providing a discreet way to leave or enter the mansion without being noticed. But the bigger question remains: who would have needed such an escape, and for what reason? As investigators continue their work, they're closely examining the odd items found in the tunnel, hoping to uncover clues related to Hackman and Betsy's deaths. The old documents, photographs, and bizarre objects might hold vital information that reveals a hidden side of Hackman's life, one he kept from the public eye. The symbols carved into the walls add to the enigma, suggesting there's an even deeper story at play, perhaps involving secretive dealings or relationships that were kept hidden for years. Neighbors and old friends of Hackman began to share their memories, each one shedding light on new, unsettling details. Some spoke of cryptic conversations Hackman had, where he alluded to problems he never fully confronted, while others recalled unusual visitors arriving late at night, sparking curiosity about what was happening behind the mansion's walls. As the investigation unfolds, the link between the hidden tunnel and the suspicious deaths of Hackman and his wife remains elusive. With each new discovery, investigators either edge closer to uncovering the truth or find themselves pulled deeper into a web of mystery that refuses to unravel. The growing silence from the authorities has only intensified public speculation. The discovery of the hidden tunnels, strange symbols, and perplexing artifacts beneath Gene Hackman's mansion should have provided substantial answers, but officials have remained conspicuously tight-lipped. Each statement issued by the authorities is brief and cryptic, offering little more than fragments of information in a larger, unresolved puzzle. The FBI has thoroughly combed through every inch of the underground tunnel system, and the objects uncovered beneath the mansion appear to tell a hidden story. Yet, as the public eagerly awaits clarity, they are met with nothing but silence. Key questions linger. What was the tunnel's true purpose? Who might have used it? And what is truly being concealed beneath the surface? In a shocking twist, the FBI discovered a secret tunnel beneath Gene Hackman's mansion, and what they found inside left them speechless in amazement. Agents uncovered old, dusty cell phones with cracked screens, filled with unread messages, fragments that could reveal secret conversations, hidden transactions, or unsent warnings. A crumpled calendar, filled with chaotic notes and important dates, appeared to be a timeline of an untold story. Additionally, agents found strange entries detailing encounters with unknown names and locations that didn't appear on any map. They also uncovered mysterious vials, some still sealed and others showing signs of use, raising suspicions about a secret treatment, an experimental drug, or perhaps even a sinister conspiracy. The vials, along with cryptic notes and coded messages, seemed to hint at a larger hidden story, one that someone had gone to great lengths to keep buried. With each new discovery, the agents were left wondering who was involved and what was being concealed beneath the surface of Hackman's seemingly perfect life. Every small clue could be the key to unlocking the truth, and each new discovery inches the investigators closer to unraveling the mystery hidden within Hackman's mansion. With each step, the tension builds, as the public and authorities alike hold their breath, unsure whether a horrifying secret will finally be revealed or if these scattered fragments are just pieces of an unfinished story, forever lost to the shadows. The uncertainty continues to loom over the case, leaving everyone to wonder what truly lies beneath the surface of Hackman's life. As the investigation continues, every new clue only deepens the mysterious veil surrounding Gene Hackman and his mansion. Strange discoveries in the basement, mysterious items, and unexplained signs have left both the public and investigators bewildered. What secrets are being hidden behind those walls? Unanswered questions continue to haunt, and this story is just beginning. Stay tuned for the latest updates, as the truth behind this case could completely change the way we view Gene Hackman and his past. Thank you for following along, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. In his final years, Hollywood legend Gene Hackman left behind a shocking and emotional legacy, causing his family and the world to question everything they once knew about him. At the age of 95, Hackman's final message, revealed only after his passing, contains chilling truths and secrets that will send a shiver down your spine. From secret financial dealings to haunting letters he never sent, his last will paints a picture of a man struggling with fame, a turbulent past, and the broken relationships he left behind. What did he hide? And why did he choose to reveal everything only in his final moments? Stay tuned as we uncover the untold story of Gene Hackman's last message and the shocking revelations that will haunt you. Santa Fe, New Mexico, a land bathed in sunlight with arid hills and a vast sky, where the sunset paints the red rocks in shades of gold. In this seemingly peaceful place, a name had withdrawn from the bright lights of Hollywood. Gene Hackman, known to audiences for his cold, sharp, and weighty performances in films like The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Conversation. Gene Hackman was not just an actor. He was a living symbol of an unforgiving era in cinema, where talent had to shout to secure a place under the spotlight. However, while most of his colleagues clung to the spotlight with final roles or surprise comebacks, Gene Hackman chose the opposite path. He disappeared in 2004 after announcing his retirement from the film industry. Hackman rarely made public appearances, did not participate in interviews, attended no events, and there was no career retrospective. All that people knew was that he and his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, had retreated to a villa deep in the outskirts of Santa Fe, where he referred to it as the land of wind and silence. The villa quickly earned a haunting nickname from the locals, the Silent Villa, not only because of its strange isolation, but also due to the dense atmosphere surrounding it. Delivery workers rarely saw the owner, occasionally receiving short messages asking them to leave packages at the gate. Even neighbors just a few hundred meters away seldom saw Gene Hackman step outside. He had once been the face of American cinema, but now he was just a ghost behind those walls. A local resident once said, "The rumors started from that silence." Some people speculated that Gene Hackman was writing an unpublished memoir, while others believed he was recording his thoughts, his final messages, as a way to communicate with future generations. And some believed that it was Betsy Arakawa, the woman who had stood by Hackman through many storms, who asked him to sever all ties with Hollywood as an unspoken agreement between them. The truth remains unknown, as the Silent Mansion never opened its doors to the curious. The only information to leak out was a small detail from a plumber hired in 2023. He claimed to have seen an old tape recorder on Gene Hackman's desk with a handwritten note that read, "The final words, private." No one knows what the recording contains, or whether it truly exists, or is just an exaggerated imagination. But what happened next only deepened the eerie mystery surrounding Gene Hackman. He canceled all routine health checkups, refused to respond to messages from old colleagues. A journalist who sent a letter inquiring about his well-being received only a blank sheet of paper with 3 words, "Leave me alone." If you found the story of Gene Hackman surprising and emotional, don't forget to like and share this video with your loved ones. To not miss out on more captivating stories and shocking revelations in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell now. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, share your reflections on the legacy Gene Hackman left behind, and the untold secrets. Gene Hackman once said in his final interview in 2004, "I've played enough roles of regretful men. I don't want to become one of them." But now, in the sunlit villa of Santa Fe, he has become the shadow of the characters he once portrayed. Lonely, introspective, and carrying a secret that no one is allowed to touch. Betsy Arakawa, who had been by Gene's side for over 30 years, also maintained absolute silence. She declined all interview requests and never appeared with her husband during the rare times he ventured outside. It is said that Betsy was the only one who knew about the final message, the recording that is believed to be Gene Hackman's last will, where he revealed his thoughts on his career, love, and the hidden shadows within. At the age of 90, Hackman no longer cared about fame or wealth. The only thing he sought was peace, a luxury he had never experienced throughout his life on the movie sets. However, that silence was not entirely by choice. Rumors began to spread, and hidden aspects of Hackman's life slowly emerged through whispered conversations from those closest to him. It was rumored that his health had rapidly deteriorated, more quickly than anyone had imagined. Sudden heart attacks, falls that no one witnessed while he was riding his bike down the street. Gene Hackman in his final years had become a shadow of the man he once was. According to sources that have not been made public, Hackman's family was not as perfect as many might have imagined. Hackman had 3 children from his first marriage to Faye Maltese, a marriage that lasted 30 years before ending in a bitter divorce. His daughter, Elizabeth Hackman, publicly criticized her father's emotional neglect. Fame took away all the time he should have spent with the family. He was always working, always somewhere else. While Hackman financially supported his children, the relationship between him and them was never truly nurturing. Moments like family dinners, teaching them to ride bikes, or reading bedtime stories only existed in his children's imagination. This lack of attention built up over time, creating a gap that could never be healed. Even when Gene Hackman remarried Betsy Arakawa, a pianist 30 years younger than him, the tension between him and his children remained unchanged. Many sources close to the family revealed that Hackman's decision to retreat into solitude was not simply for rest, but also a way to avoid the growing conflicts within his own family. Family gatherings became less frequent, phone calls grew shorter, and even holidays like Christmas no longer brought the sense of togetherness they once had. Hackman never openly admitted this, but those close to him sensed that he was haunted by the fear of seeing disappointment in his children's eyes. In an attempt to bridge the emotional gap, he sent money, property, and luxurious gifts from the West Coast to the cities where his children lived. However, like many of the roles he played, money couldn't buy what mattered most: genuine connection and forgiveness. The distance between them became unbridgeable when Hackman completely stepped away from Hollywood in 2004 after his final role in Welcome to Mooseport. There were no emotional farewells with colleagues, no farewell parties from the studios that once regarded him as their golden goose. Hackman quietly vanished, like a fleeting breeze, leaving only rumors of a lonely, reclusive life. Hackman's final years in Santa Fe seemed like a retreat from the world, a quiet space where he lived in isolation. He spent most of his time in his modest wooden house, immersed in books, writing, and sketching the landscapes around him. Those lucky enough to encounter him at the local grocery store or gas station described him as a thin figure with sharp eyes and a strong gaze, unmistakable. Hackman was often seen sitting alone on his porch, watching the sunset and drawing the distant mountains. These rare moments, far from the spotlight, were perhaps the only times he truly felt free. No cameras, no empty praise, no complicated family relationships, just him, the wind, and the quiet thoughts he kept to himself. Even more chilling are the whispers surrounding a mysterious personal fund that Hackman established in the mid-90s. Details about the fund are shrouded in secrecy. No one knows exactly how it operates, where the money came from, or its true purpose. Among the documents discovered, there was a handwritten letter from Hackman to himself, resembling a personal financial diary. In it, he wrote, "I built this, not to leave an inheritance, but to leave control." This cold statement stunned his children, as it confirmed a harsh truth. Gene Hackman never intended for his assets to fall into anyone else's hands, not even his own family. As rumors about Hackman's declining health spread, Hollywood media began searching for the final clues about his life and legacy. Some believe that Hackman quietly wrote a will years ago, dividing his assets into different accounts to prevent any disputes. Others speculate that he set up an anonymous charitable fund, funneling a large portion of his wealth into it as a silent act of atonement for the family he had distanced himself from. The more he withdrew from the spotlight, the more Hackman became the subject of wild conspiracy theories and fabricated stories. However, in his humble home in Santa Fe, he spent his final days in peace, leaving behind not only an outstanding career but also unresolved mysteries that would linger long after his death. Gene Hackman wrote his own ending, leaving the world in a way no one expected. The news of his passing was announced on a cold, overcast morning, before the sun had risen over the red peaks of New Mexico. The announcement was simple, without the fanfare one might expect, much like the reclusive life he had lived for the past 2 decades. However, when that brief notice appeared in a local newspaper, it shook not only Hollywood media, but also Hackman's own family, as long-hidden secrets and locked doors that had remained shut for years suddenly swung open after a long silence. Initially, Hackman's family thought everything would be straightforward. They found a handwritten will, notarized in 2001, listing a few clear assets: the house in Santa Fe, a bank account in California, and a classic Hudson Hornet that Hackman had kept since his youth. The total value was estimated to be under $5 million, a modest sum compared to his legendary career and public image. But as they continued searching through old documents and began uncovering seemingly anonymous bank accounts, a completely different and unexpected picture started to emerge. It turns out, Gene Hackman's influence wasn't limited to the world of Hollywood. In the 1990s, when his career was at its peak, Hackman quietly built a complex financial empire, including real estate holdings, stocks, anonymous investment funds, and overseas transfers. Hackman wasn't just a famous actor. He was also a sharp financial strategist, skillfully hiding his wealth within a complex financial network. Hackman's total net worth, when all the clues were put together, was estimated to exceed $80 million, a figure that left even his closest friends stunned. But what truly shocked his family wasn't the scale of his fortune, but the way Hackman had meticulously hidden everything over the years in such a complex and elusive manner. No one knew exactly how, with whom, or why he chose to maintain such secrecy. In some secretive transactions, Hackman even used aliases through trust accounts set up in places like Switzerland, the Cayman Islands, and Singapore. The discovery of this secret fund immediately led to a series of covert investigations. Lawyers, financial experts, and even private detectives were hired to trace the fund, but all hit dead ends. Gene Hackman had been preparing for this day for a long time. Ghost accounts, a maze of shell companies, untraceable money transactions. Every time the family seemed to get close to a clue, Hackman appeared to be several steps ahead. When the family's lawyer officially disclosed Hackman's assets, the listed properties were just the surface: the house in Santa Fe, the vintage car, and a few bank accounts. The rest, the real assets, remained hidden in the shadows of financial secrecy, known only to Hackman. And now, with his passing, that secret has become an unsolvable puzzle for those closest to him. Gene Hackman was not only a famous actor or a Hollywood legend. He was also a man living in deep solitude, torn between the desire to protect his family from the chaos of fame and the fear of losing himself in the role of a father. But it wasn't just the letters that sparked suspicion. The deeper the Hackman family dug into old files and forgotten drawers, the more disturbing pieces they uncovered. Mysterious financial agreements, untraceable money transfers, and perhaps most concerning of all, a list of beneficiaries that did not include any of his family members. It seemed that Hackman had created an entirely separate will, a plan that did not involve any of his children. Ironically, throughout their years together, Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were the epitome of a peaceful marriage. The couple lived in a handcrafted wooden house on a 12-acre plot in the Santa Fe Mountains, far removed from the turmoil and scandals of Hollywood. Their longtime friends, Daniel and Barbara Lenahan, fondly recall the quiet afternoons when Hackman painted. Betsy silently brewed tea, and the two shared content smiles amidst nature, believing they had achieved their ideal life. However, beneath that tranquil exterior, Hackman's need for control never wavered. Betsy once confided to a close friend, "Gene is the perfect husband, as long as I don't touch what he calls his personal legacy." And that legacy was not just his film career, it was also his absolute control over his own story. No one, not even Betsy or their children, was allowed to rewrite the history of Gene Hackman. To the world, Gene Hackman was a film legend, but to his children, he was like a closed door, a father defined only by his work schedule and movie contracts. They don't remember him from fishing trips or cozy family dinners. Instead, they remember him through magazine interviews and the rare moments they saw him on the red carpet, close in proximity but emotionally distant. There were nights when his eldest son, Christopher Hackman, stayed up late, watching and rewatching his father's films, trying to find a real connection behind the characters. But the screen only reflected what Gene Hackman wanted the world to see, not the emotions hidden deep within. In 2017, when Gene's health began to decline, Leslie noticed a noticeable shift in the balance of power. Betsy had become the only one speaking for Gene, making decisions on his behalf, even refusing interviews or acting opportunities without consulting him first. Leslie recalled one summer evening in 2019 when she visited unannounced. Betsy took quite a while to open the door, and her hesitation made Leslie feel uneasy. When Leslie insisted, Betsy reluctantly let her in. Gene was sitting in the living room, but his eyes were cloudy and distant, his smile strained, and every sentence he spoke began with an invisible subservience. "Betsy thinks that... Betsy told me. Betsy said I should do this." The man who was once as strong as Gene Hackman was now just a shadow of himself. Betsy insisted that every decision about his health, even the way he passed, was entirely Gene's choice. But Leslie couldn't accept that. She had seen the prescriptions that Betsy had arranged for her father. The handwritten notes in the bedroom where she had carefully outlined steps to help Gene pass peacefully. That realization sent a chill down Leslie's spine. She couldn't shake the haunting question. Did Gene Hackman truly want to die, or were all those decisions made by Betsy on his behalf? After listening to the highly confidential recording, Leslie was shaken. Not because of the loss, but because of the fear that the voice she heard wasn't Jean's, but a distorted reflection of Betsy's influence, a confession that had been coerced. Leslie didn't hate Betsy. She couldn't hate the woman who had stood by her father for 30 years. But no amount of gratitude could dispel the growing suspicion that Gene Hackman, once a symbol of strength, might have lived his final years as a pawn, pulled by the strings of a love that had controlled him. And when the door to the Santa Fe mansion closed for the last time, Leslie understood the truth. The one who held the key had been trapped in that house, along with secrets that would never be revealed. Some houses never deteriorate, even after the people who once lived in them are gone. The Santa Fe mansion is one of those places. It wasn't just Gene Hackman's final home. It became something more. A living, breathing entity in the wind that blows through windows, never fully closed. The people of Santa Fe call it the Whispering House. Stories circulate among the neighbors, the old maintenance workers, and those who have seen Gene Hackman standing by the window, silently gazing out at the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. The whispers never cease. It is believed that the presence of Gene and Betsy still haunts the place, not in the form of a visible ghost, but as a trapped memory, endlessly repeating like an old film. Footsteps echo at midnight on the wooden floors, doors gently open and close, even though the mansion has been locked tight for years. And when the doors of the Santa Fe mansion closed for the final time, Leslie knew the answer to Gene Hackman's fate. Whoever truly held the key would forever be locked in that house, along with the buried secrets. Some houses never truly fall into ruin, even when their inhabitants have long since gone. The Santa Fe mansion is one such house. It was not just Gene Hackman's final retirement home. It became a living entity, breathing with each step, silent with every breeze that passed through windows that were never completely closed. The people of Santa Fe call it the Whispering House. Stories circulate among neighbors, former maintenance staff, and even those who briefly spotted Gene Hackman standing by the window, gazing into the distance at the Chisto Mountains. The whispers never stop. People believe the essence of Gene and Betsy never truly left the house, not as physical ghosts, but as a stream of memories eternally trapped, replaying like a faded, worn-out film. Fragments of conversations, footsteps echoing at midnight on the wooden floor, the sound of doors softly opening and closing, even though the mansion had been locked tight. They loved each other, a love so strong it could burn both souls. But they also feared each other, feared losing each other, feared a day when there would be no one left to hold on to in the darkness of old age. That fear turned the house into a living tomb, burying every smile, every unfinished dream. Leslie Hackman, the sole heir of Gene, neither sold the house nor moved in, but she returned once every year on the anniversary of her father's death, standing before the heavy wooden door, her hand trembling on the doorknob but too afraid to turn it. "I hear him," Leslie once said in a rare interview. Not in a clear voice, just a feeling, a presence, a sadness hanging in the air. There are things he never said, questions he never asked, and now they're all trapped in that house. Did Gene Hackman truly leave behind a final recording? That question haunts reporters, fans, and documentary filmmakers, all of whom try to reach Leslie, but no one has heard the recording except for her. Not a single second of sound, not a single copy has been revealed. Some believe the tape holds dark truths about love, control, and secret agreements between Gene and Betsy in their final days. Others think the recording isn't Gene's farewell to the world, but rather his farewell to himself, a message written and read by him, closing the chapter on his life. Leslie hasn't confirmed anything. She only says, "Some secrets are better left buried with the dead." The house still stands there, lonely on the hillside, with no one daring to buy it. Documentary film crews have requested to shoot there, but they encountered strange glitches when entering the backyard. Distorted images, missing audio, or recordings of inexplicable sounds like the scraping of a wooden chair, the sighs of someone in an empty room. The Santa Fe mansion isn't just a property, it is a living tomb where secrets are locked within every plank of wood, every brick, every window pane. Anyone who steps inside feels the invisible eyes watching, the questions hanging in the air. Questions that only Gene Hackman, Betsy Arakawa, and Leslie Hackman may ever know the answers to. As for the outside world, we can only hear the whispers of the house, the echoes of love, fear, and truths that were never revealed. And when the door of the Santa Fe mansion closes at sunset, it doesn't just close another day, it closes a mysterious chapter with no end. Hackman always kept his personal life private, especially when it came to his children during interviews. In 1989, he shared with film critic John C. Tibbets that audiences appreciated him because they saw him as an ordinary man. He explained that he preferred to keep his personal life simple so that viewers could easily connect with him through his art. He also admitted that he didn't cope well with the transition from a lackluster career to one of success. While he always took care of his family and made sure they had everything they needed, he acknowledged that he had become too enamored with the old Hollywood and its mystique. Even though he didn't indulge in what Hollywood had to offer, he still found himself fascinated by being a part of it and the ability to be anyone and do anything he wanted. Hackman made rare comments about his children in an interview with the Irish Independent in August 2000. He shared that his children had helped him decide to continue his acting career rather than pursue a job behind the camera. Although he had the opportunity to direct Silence of the Lambs, he ultimately turned it down, a decision he had no regrets about. Hackman said, "I didn't think twice about that decision," and mentioned that his children helped him realize it wasn't the best choice. He also admitted that being the child of a famous person was difficult, and that his success had always been a burden on his children. Despite the complex relationship with his father, Hackman's children always loved him and were shocked to hear of his tragic death. Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, on February 26, 2025, leaving the world stunned and full of questions. 9 days after the legendary actor and his wife, along with their dog, were found dead in their 9,000-square-foot home, the circumstances surrounding their deaths remain unclear, with many questions about what truly happened in their secluded home. The sudden and mysterious death of Gene Hackman sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. As one of the greatest actors of his era, Hackman was renowned for his iconic roles in films such as Unforgiven and The French Connection. Colleagues and directors expressed deep sorrow, with Clint Eastwood describing him as a close friend he would deeply miss. while Francis Ford Coppola called Hackman a true legend of cinema. Betsy Arakawa, though not prominent in Hollywood, was highly respected, especially by those who knew her. She was the devoted partner of Gene Hackman for many decades, and their relationship stood as a rare example of enduring love in the entertainment industry. After their deaths, fans and conspiracy theorists flooded social media platforms, with many speculating that there were still untold details in the story. The lack of timely medical intervention and the unusual circumstances led many to propose theories. While authorities have stated there are no signs of foul play, they continue to investigate, with toxicology results and forensic analysis still pending. As the world mourns the loss of a cinematic legend and his beloved wife, the mystery surrounding their final days remains unsolved. Whether it is a tragic coincidence or something more complex, their story will be remembered as one of the most tragic and dramatic endings in Hollywood. Investigators are still struggling to determine the cause of death, but what the FBI is preparing to uncover is sure to surprise many. Officials initially focused on determining the cause of death for Hackman and Arakawa, but no clear conclusions have been reached. While there are no signs of trauma, carbon monoxide poisoning, or foul play, investigators seem to be broadening their search to uncover the truth. Currently, they have begun to suspect that the house might be hiding important secrets. As information about the FBI investigation spreads, many theories are starting to emerge. Some believe that Hackman, known for his reclusive lifestyle in his later years, may have been concealing a major secret within his home. Officials initially focused on determining the cause of death for Hackman and Arakawa, but no clear conclusions have been reached. While there are no signs of trauma, carbon monoxide poisoning, or foul play, investigators seem to be broadening their search to uncover the truth. Currently, they have begun to suspect that the house might be hiding important secrets. As information about the FBI investigation spreads, many theories are starting to emerge. Some believe that Hackman, known for his reclusive lifestyle in his later years, may have been concealing a major secret within his home. And that's all. The mystery surrounding Gene Hackman's final message continues to baffle those who knew him, and the truth about his final moments may be even more terrifying than we thought. With never-before-seen footage revealing strange clues and the investigation into his death still ongoing, it's clear that the life of this legend holds secrets yet to be uncovered. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on this case. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next shocking story. Gene Hackman, the immortal icon of Hollywood, passed away in silence, without a final word. No suspects, no blood-soaked scene, and no signs of foul play. Every clue disappeared into the desert. Betsy Arakawa, the only woman who knew the truth, followed her husband. Was it a coincidence or something more sinister? The secrets remain. Every breath, every footprint Hackman left in the sand has now turned to ashes, consumed by rumors, subtle poisons, invisible assassins, or the dark hands of secret meetings behind the Oscar stage. All of Hollywood holds its breath, the truth slowly bleeding beneath the New Mexico desert. Hackman's departure was not just a funeral, but the opening chapter of the darkest history even Hollywood feared to mention. Los Terros, a small village in the heart of the New Mexico desert, had long been known as a refuge for those seeking to escape the spotlight. For Gene Hackman, a living legend who had twice stepped onto the Oscar stage, this was the final stop on his long journey. a man weary of camera flashes and curious stares. He and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, chose this corner of the desert to make it their sanctuary, a place where no Hollywood footprint could ever intrude. Let us know which movie you first heard of Gene Hackman from. If you're curious about the unsolved stories surrounding this actor, don't forget to hit like, share, and leave a comment below to share your thoughts with us. Now let's dive into some fascinating stories about the late actor Gene Hackman. Since the 2010s, Gene Hackman had nearly disappeared from major newspapers, refusing interviews, turning down new projects, and spending all his time with Betsy, the quiet woman who had stood by him since they married. Their two-story wooden house, with windows overlooking the endless barren grasslands, had become an impregnable fortress. No guards, no surveillance cameras, no hidden fences. The only barrier between their world and the outside was the absolute silence. A silence so powerful it swallowed any rumors about them. The locals of Los Terros rarely saw Gene Hackman. On the rare occasions he walked into the local shop, he would simply nod politely and quietly leave. Betsy was the same. They lived like two shadows gliding through each other's lives gently and without a sound. But this perfect tranquility turned into an endless void when authorities discovered that both had passed away inside the very house that had sheltered them from the outside world. There were no signs of forced entry, no doors or windows damaged, no signs of struggle or resistance. Gene Hackman's body was found in his familiar wooden chair near the living room window, where he often sat to read. Betsy lay a few steps away, her head resting on the armrest, as if she had just dozed off on their small dog, a loyal companion lying quietly at their feet, as if everything was just a peaceful afternoon that had lasted longer than expected. The air inside the house had no strange odors. The furniture was intact, with no signs of disruption, as if the house had been covered by an absolute silence, freezing time at the final moment. What puzzled the investigators was the chilling naturalness of the scene. No traces, no external impact, nothing. Only Gene, Betsy, and their small dog, silent like the life they had chosen. The Santa Fe police called it an inexplicable scene. The initial theories of a break-in or accident were quickly dismissed. No external forces had affected Gene or Betsy's bodies. They left in silence, as if the silence of Los Terros had gently carried them away without warning. But this silence had never been so terrifying, because behind that absolute peace lay a mystery waiting to be unraveled. And as the first rumors spread across Santa Fe, the once silent loser, Rios, no longer stayed quiet. The news of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa being found inside their small wooden house in Los Terros didn't take long to escape the boundaries of the dry desert from Santa Fe. The first rumors began to drift across the desert, the winds blowing towards roadside cafes, old newsstands, and weekend markets, where locals often welcomed stories. But this time, the name whispered wasn't that of an unknown person, but Gene Hackman, the star who had once stunned all of Hollywood. No one knows exactly where the first rumors began, perhaps from a coroner leaving the scene or from a neighbor who happened to see the police lights through a window. But once the first words were spoken, they carried the power of the silent desert. unstoppable. Amidst the barren landscape and the cold winds of New Mexico, 3 theories were put forward: murder, break-in, or gas leak accident. For those who had lived long enough in Santa Fe or Los Celos, the concept of a deadly, mysterious desert was nothing new. Since the 1970s, New Mexico had become a land linked to unexplained disappearances, abandoned homes where the owners suddenly vanished, bodies found with no wounds, but their eyes still filled with terror. This barren land, by its very nature, held stories no one wanted to remember. So, when the name Gene Hackman emerged in that context, rumors quickly began to shift. Amidst the media storm, rumors began to spread that Gene Hackman had been murdered in his own home. The first headline appeared on a small blog, but quickly spread as major newspapers like TMZ and even the New York Times got involved. Who could believe that, at over 90 years old, Gene Hackman would become the center of such a truth-seeking hunt? Santa Fe was no stranger to the media, but the presence of reporters this time brought a completely different feeling. No longer were there articles about local restaurants or picturesque scenery, but news reports tinged with mystery. Gene Hackman, Betsy Arakawa, and their beloved dog. 3 lives left behind in a house with no signs of forced entry, no signs of violence, no cries for help. The Santa Fe police were forced to hold their first press conference later that afternoon, amidst the continuous flashes of cameras. The police spokesperson stood behind the wooden podium, his voice calm but firm. No signs of forced entry. No obvious injuries. No external trauma. The brief statement cut through all the theories like a knife. But it was that very decisiveness that made people more suspicious. If no one had broken in, then how could it be that no one harmed them? Gene and Betsy, 2 healthy individuals living peacefully in that quiet space, suddenly died by accident? Rumors spread. Some spoke of an invisible intruder, one who silently infiltrates homes in the desert without leaving a trace. Others mentioned ancient curses tied to the land of Los Terros, once a focal point for rituals that no one dared name. Then, the theory of a gas leak quietly killing each person in silence became the most plausible explanation so far, regardless of which theory was believed. No one can deny that Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, 2 people who spent their lives avoiding the noise and rumors of society, inadvertently became the center of an unstoppable storm of gossip in the endless desert of New Mexico. The whispers continue to echo as if someone or something has never truly left. As the initial theories of a break-in or murder faded, the most plausible explanation that was mentioned was poisoning, specifically carbon monoxide. The invisible killer had taken the lives of many residents in remote areas, much like Los Terros. It was the explanation everyone nodded to before a silent leak invaded every room, drowning Gene Hackman, Betsy Arakawa, and their small dog in eternal sleep, with no cries for help, no signs of struggle or panic. The Santa Fe Police Department's investigation team and environmental experts were urgently called in. The most advanced gas detection equipment was brought into Gene Hackman's small wooden house, scanning every corner, from the heating system and gas stove to the hot water pipes. They inspected everything carefully. Backup generators are a common cause of carbon monoxide poisoning in remote rural areas, but strangely, Everything appeared nearly perfect. The gas stove, the main suspect, had only a tiny leak in the gas supply pipe connection. However, the amount of gas released was insignificant, certainly not enough to pose a danger or accumulate in the open space of Hackman's cozy kitchen. The heating system was also thoroughly checked. Every pipe was inspected with thermal cameras to detect any cracks that might allow toxic gas into the house. The results showed nothing unusual. All equipment adhered to installation standards and regular inspections. Minor faults in the hot water pipe and gas connections were entirely unrelated to the risk of carbon monoxide. The real shock came late in the afternoon when the preliminary autopsy report was sent to the chief investigator's office. No traces of carbon monoxide were found in the bodies of Gene Hackman or Betsy Arakawa. Blood samples, lung fluids, brain tissue, everything was clean with no signs of gas poisoning. The most reliable theory, the explanation everyone had clung to, suddenly collapsed. That very evening, a press release from the New Mexico authorities was issued, stating that no carbon monoxide was detected and no environmental toxins were found at levels dangerous to human health. This news sparked the simmering speculations on social media. If it wasn't gas, then what really happened inside that small house in the desert? New theories quickly emerged. Could they have been poisoned by another, more potent toxin? One so sophisticated it bypassed standard tests? Or was it a slow process? A poison slowly absorbed through food or drink, causing both of them to disappear at once, like a curse that had been destined. Some even mentioned biological or chemical agents used in high-level assassinations, capable of self-destruction. After completing their task, they leave the scene clean, like a blank sheet of paper. From Los Terros, where the sunset paints the distant Rocky Mountains, people read conspiracy theory blogs, constantly asking if it wasn't carbon monoxide, then what was it? And that question became like a new curse haunting the public. In the following days, as more theories grew increasingly bizarre and the truth remained buried somewhere in the silent desert winds. Gene Hackman is a name that needs no introduction. He was not just an actor, but a living legend, a symbol of Hollywood's artistic richness, where true talent could surpass flashy gimmicks. From The French Connection to Unforgiven, each of Hackman's roles is etched into the public consciousness. But behind the glamour of his Oscar-winning career lies a web of heavy secrets that few dare to touch. In the 70s and 80s, when Hackman stood at the peak of his fame, he was also a witness to Hollywood's dark corners that the media never mentioned. It was a time of secret parties, backdoor deals, and untold secrets. Rumors circulated that Hackman, with his sharp intelligence and keen eye, missed no details. He knew too much about bribery, backstage favors, and even mysterious disappearances that were never made public. When the news of Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's sudden departure flooded the headlines, some of his former colleagues were contacted to share their feelings. However, instead of offering condolences or reminiscing, most chose silence. Those who had stood by Hackman in iconic projects, directors who regarded him as a golden collaborator, all declined to comment on the matter. The collective silence sent a chill through the public. From this, a new theory emerged. Hackman hadn't just fled from Hollywood's spotlight when he chose to live in seclusion in New Mexico, but did the secrets he held become a burden, forcing him to leave the film capital before the old shadows found him? Some conspiracy websites even mentioned the Hollywood curse, a secret list of stars who knew too much and died under mysterious circumstances. Hackman, with all he had witnessed, may have been the latest victim of that curse, as the secrets of the past remained unsolved and old underground forces continued to quietly exist. Gene Hackman's departure became a mysterious link between the dazzling light and the dark power, where the truth always lurked behind the velvet curtain of the film capital. If Gene Hackman was the embodiment of the light and dark of Hollywood, Betsy Arakawa was the complete opposite of him. Since becoming Gene's partner, Betsy chose to step away from the limelight, living quietly in friendship like a shadow. But the farther she withdrew, the more that shadow became mysterious. Betsy Arakawa had once been a talented piano artist, but since marrying Hackman, she almost disappeared from the public eye. Old friends only remembered her as a gentle, reserved woman who always smiled softly when talking about her legendary husband. But behind those smiles was a sense of unease that only a few close friends truly felt. Several months before they were discovered in their home, Betsy confided in an old friend over the phone that she felt someone was watching her. Strange noises at night, mysterious messages from unknown senders, and an unshakable, baseless anxiety had haunted her daily life. But when advised to call the police, Betsy simply smiled weakly and said, "I'm just being silly. If you're surprised by the unsolved story of Gene Hackman, leave a comment with the number 1. If not, leave a comment with the number 0. Now, let's continue with this mysterious story." Even stranger, just hours after the news of the incident broke, an anonymous call was made to the Santa Fe Police Department. A middle-aged woman's voice, soft and trembling, left only one piece of information. Betsy wrote a letter to a friend in California. It was her final confession, but that letter was never found. From here, speculations arose. Some people suggested that Betsy had been involved in a complex financial relationship before marrying Hackman, and that she had tried to conceal that past for 3 decades. There were also rumors of a secret connection between Betsy and some powerful figures, possibly the real reason behind her unfounded fear. Betsy Arakawa, the woman behind the spotlight of Gene Hackman, might be the final key to unlocking all the mysteries. But now, she has entered the realm of silence, taking her secrets with her into the night of the New Mexico desert, where every confession is buried beneath the sands of time. On the day Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's bodies were found, the New Mexico desert seemed to hold its breath, not because of the extreme heat or the sandstorms sweeping across the trails, but because of an indescribable feeling that permeated the atmosphere. A legend had died here, but what he left behind wasn't just a legacy of glory. It was a mystery as vast as the endless horizon of the desert. When the initial forensic reports were released, everything became more baffling. No signs of external force, no visible injuries, and no evidence of a break-in at Hackman's home. Carbon monoxide or any usual toxins were ruled out. Every clue that seemed to point toward the truth vanished like a desert mirage in New Mexico. After weeks of investigation, the Santa Fe police had to admit that they couldn't find a specific cause for the deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife. The case remained unsolved, but it seemed even law enforcement had accepted that some mysteries lie beyond the reach of science or ordinary logic. The Hackman family chose silence. They refused all interview requests and declined every offer for cooperation from the press. Those close to Gene Hackman in the past, from former colleagues to neighbors in New Mexico, also maintained a collective silence. Hollywood, which once celebrated him as a living legend, now seemed to deliberately omit Gene Hackman's name from memorial broadcasts. His death had somehow become a strange taboo. In that void, social media exploded, with bizarre theories and conspiracy theories growing more numerous every day. Some claimed that Gene and Betsy were the victims of a perfectly staged assassination, a flawlessly staged suicide. Others believed they had been slowly poisoned over months with a powerful chemical designed to destroy. After completing its task, some forums even delved deeper, suggesting that the incident was connected to secret organizations that had controlled Hollywood for decades. These forces believed that Gene Hackman had inadvertently or purposefully encountered scattered pieces of Betsy's silent fear, strange anonymous calls, and the eerie silence of those who knew Hackman. All these elements intertwined, creating an incomplete yet haunting picture. The death of Gene Hackman wasn't just the passing of a star, but the beginning of a new dark legend, an unsolved mystery where the light of Hollywood glory fades in the dust of New Mexico, leaving millions of questions hanging in the desert sky, holding its breath, waiting for answers. No one really remembers the exact moment when Gene Hackman's house became part of the mysterious legend of Los Terros, but since the day his and Betsy Arakawa's bodies were found, the space was suddenly swallowed by an unusual silence. A silence that wasn't just the absence of people, but the feeling of a place holding its breath, waiting for something too grand, too terrifying, and then never hearing the answer. Neighbors scattered around this harsh desert region began whispering to each other about what they had seen in the last days, before everything came to light. An elderly couple, living nearly a mile from the Hackman home, claimed they had seen strange blue lights flickering through the second-floor window. At first, they thought it was just car headlights from the back trail. But the light didn't move, didn't change. It stayed still, as if illuminating a silent ritual that lasted nearly 10 minutes before abruptly going out. A horse rancher, who occasionally delivered hay to the Hackman home, recalled that a few days before the police arrived, he saw Betsy standing on the porch, her eyes staring blankly at the distant desert with an unusually vacant expression. She didn't wave or respond to his greeting. She just stood there, as if listening to a sound that no one else could hear. After their initial official statements, the Santa Fe police also quietly withdrew from the case. No further updates were provided, no more press releases were issued. Once the case was temporarily closed, this only made the silence even more terrifying. The Hackman family refused all contact, and those close to Gene Hackman throughout his life suddenly fell silent, as if they had received an invisible warning. On online forums, from Reddit to conspiracy blogs about Hollywood, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were no longer just the reclusive couple of Los Terros. They had become a new symbol of a dark Hollywood, where the stage lights never shine. Theories about the price of knowing too many secrets were hidden away. Hackman's life, shrouded in a fog of mystery, where his roles, Oscar statues, and past awards are now just a thin mask hiding a deeper secret. Beneath the house of Gene Hackman still stands uninhabited. No one dares enter, not to sell, not to rent, and no one dares destroy it, as if it has become part of the legend itself. Every night when the desert wind howls through the empty windows, whispers about untold secrets echo from somewhere far away. And Gene Hackman, though he has left this life, his story of standing too close to the truth will continue to haunt New Mexico. The darkness beneath the veneer of silence and the dry official statements from Santa Fe police still left broken pieces that would never fit together. A mysterious call at 2:37 a.m., about 48 hours before the discovery of Hackman and Betsy's bodies. The emergency hotline received an interrupted call from Hackman's landline. A woman's voice whispered only 5 words. They found out too late. The call abruptly ended. The police later confirmed that Betsy had made the call, but they couldn't explain why the call wasn't continued or who she was speaking to. In that statement, the empty safe in Hackman's office was mentioned. There was a large safe that hadn't appeared in any previous asset inventories. The door was wide open, and inside it was completely empty. No one knew what Hackman had kept in there, and there was no sign of a break-in. An unfinished manuscript, a handwritten draft with scattered pages, was found in the basement, a place Hackman rarely visited. The content of the manuscript included fragmented memories of Hollywood in the 70s and 80s, interspersed with shady names, a club, desert meetings, and a red folder. It seemed Hackman had written this secret memoir for himself, or for someone brave enough to read the rest. The manuscript abruptly ended with the line, "If they find out, no one will survive." The death of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa didn't just mark the end of 2 lives, but also opened a new chapter in Hollywood's dark legend. After the incident, many conspiracy forums believed that Hackman had unknowingly stepped into a secret society of filmmakers, moguls, and politicians in the post-Watergate era. He had escaped, but carried with him secrets that would never be made public, spreading fear. At least 3 of Hackman's longtime friends, including a director who had worked with him on Mississippi Burning, quietly left Los Angeles after the police closed the case. None of them agreed to be interviewed, even when offered 6-figure sums. The haunted house remains to this day. Those who have visited Hackman's old neighborhood claim to have heard whispers at dawn, the voice of Betsy or Hackman himself echoing from the desert, disjointed phrases that are incomprehensible, but always repeating one phrase: "It's not safe here." Gene Hackman's legacy isn't just his Oscar statues or iconic roles, but the shadow he casts over Hollywood, where the truth is buried beneath the sands of New Mexico, a place where not everyone who knows too much can survive to tell the story. Gene Hackman passed away in silence, but the aftershocks of the incident spread like a sandstorm, engulfing Hollywood. Betsy Arakawa, the final witness, also followed, leaving behind a cold message. Those who know too much have no way out. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't a suicide. This is the price of the truth, where the stage lights never shine. Let us know what you think about the mysteries surrounding his life. And don't forget to hit like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments below the video. See you in the next one. Welcome to our channel. Today, we will explore a mysterious story that will send chills down your spine. Gene Hackman, a legendary film icon, lived a life full of glory. But in his final years, there was one last message that few people know about. A chilling and mysterious message, captured in footage that has never been released to the public. Could it be a farewell, a parting word, or something deeper that we still don't understand? Stay tuned to uncover never-before-seen footage of Gene Hackman in his final days, and let's decode the mystery behind his final message. No one could have imagined that an immortal Hollywood legend would depart not in glory, but in a haunting tragedy. Gene Hackman, who once stood at the peak of fame, left behind a legacy not written in ink, but in heart-wrenching screams during his final moments. He did not pass peacefully, but was trapped within his own mind, where love, loneliness, and manipulation suffocated him. But the most terrifying part isn't his death. It's what he left behind. A top-secret recording where Gene Hackman reveals his panic, vulnerability, and a desperate plea for freedom. Who made a Hollywood legend beg in fear? Who stole his final control? Was it love or an invisible hand pulling the strings behind the curtain? This secret is too heavy to take to the grave, and now it's about to be revealed. Santa Fe, New Mexico, a land with sun-scorched hills stretching under an endless sky where the sunset paints the red rocks gold. Amid this peaceful beauty, a name quietly left Hollywood: Gene Hackman. Audiences knew him for his cold, heavy roles in Unforgiven, The French Connection, and The Conversation. Hackman was not just an actor, but a symbol of a ruthless cinematic era, where talent had to scream to earn a place in the spotlight. However, while most of his colleagues clung to the limelight with final roles or surprise comebacks, Hackman chose the opposite path. After announcing his retirement in 2004, he completely disappeared. No interviews, no events, no career retrospectives. The only thing people knew about him was that he lived reclusively with his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, in a mansion deep in the outskirts of Santa Fe, a place he called the Land of Wind and Silence. If you find this story intriguing and full of mystery, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos and other fascinating stories. Feel free to share your thoughts on Gene Hackman's final message in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspectives. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos from us. The house quickly earned a haunting name among the locals, the Silent Villa, not just because of its exceptional isolation, but because of the mysterious atmosphere that enveloped it. Delivery drivers rarely encountered the owners of the house, and staff only received brief notes instructing them to leave items at the gate. Even neighbors living just a few hundred meters away almost never saw Hackman venture outside. From that silence, countless rumors began to spread. Some claimed he was writing an unpublished memoir. Others believed he was recording his final thoughts as a way to communicate with future generations. And there were whispers that Betsy Arakawa had instructed him to sever all ties with Hollywood through a silent agreement. The truth was never revealed, for the Silent Villa was a place closed off from curiosity. However, one small detail leaked out from the account of a plumber hired in 2023. He said he had seen an old tape recorder on Gene Hackman's desk with a handwritten note reading, "Final words private." No one knew what the tape contained, but what happened next only added to the ominous atmosphere surrounding the villa. Gene Hackman, a name familiar to the public, had fallen into a dark silence. He canceled all of his regular health checkups and refused to respond to any messages from old colleagues. A journalist sent a letter inquiring about his health, only to receive a blank sheet of paper with 3 hastily written words: "Leave me be." In his final interview in 2004, Hackman said, "I've played enough men full of regrets. I'm not willing to become one of them in real life." But now, in his sunny Santa Fe villa, he seemed to have become exactly the characters he once portrayed: lonely, somber, and carrying an untouchable secret. Betsy Arakawa, Hackman's wife of over 30 years, also kept silent. She refused all interviews and even declined to appear with him during the rare occasions he went outside. Betsy was said to be the only one who knew about Gene Hackman's final recording, where he expressed his thoughts on love, his career, and the hidden shadows within. But what was even more chilling was the timing of the recording in early 2024 as Hackman entered his most vulnerable years. Did he sense something? Did he know his time was running out, or had the silent villa become a psychological prison, a place where each day was a monologue with the past? No one knows the answer, but one thing is certain. The silent villa was not just a house. It was the last witness to a legend. The walls, the dark corners, the breeze that blew through them all carried untold stories, and somewhere the mysterious tape still exists, like a missing piece in the Gene Hackman puzzle. His final photo, a frail figure in an old sweater, with a fixed gaze silently looking up at the New Mexico sky, seemed like the last frame of a glorious Hollywood chapter. No flash, no applause, just a man standing there in the final silence of his life. And under the Santa Fe night sky, where the stars form a silver net over the dry red earth, the silent villa still stands, as silent as its residents have been for over 30 years. Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa bravely faced the scorching sun and fierce winds of the American Southwest. From the outside, they appeared to be the perfect couple, a symbol of enduring love and humility, always staying away from the Hollywood spotlight. But the truth is rarely as simple as it seems. Inside the rough stone walls of the Santa Fe villa, during intimate dinners lit only by candles with just the two of them, there existed a fragile and vague bond, a combination of love, possession, and an unnamed obsession. It later came to be known as the Final Pact. Betsy Arakawa, a petite Hawaiian woman and a once graceful pianist with gentle eyes, hid within her a complex soul, scarred and haunted by separation. When she met Gene Hackman in the 1980s, she didn't love him for his fame or the glamour of a veteran star, but rather, she loved him as if he were her last anchor, a piece of driftwood in the ocean that, if lost, would never find shore again. Their love was beautiful, but the more beautiful it became, the more dangerous it was. Old friends of Gene Hackman admit that after he became involved with Betsy, many doors slowly began to close. Unreturned phone calls, missed parties. Gene gradually vanished from social circles, even from those who had been with him since the early days of his career. "I'm not leaving Hollywood. I just want to belong somewhere else," Gene once said in a rare moment of openness. But those closest to him understood that somewhere else was beside Betsy, where he would be willing to give up the world to find peace in the eyes of the woman he loved. But this puzzle was never quite complete. Whispers from Gene Hackman's old friends revealed that Betsy loved him in a way that was anything but simple. She was haunted by the thought that Gene would leave her, just as many others had left her in the past. Because of this fear, Betsy controlled everything. Every breath, every relationship, every name in Gene's contact list. Even his children were not free from her control. Gene Hackman's 3 children from his first marriage became a thorn in Betsy's side. The brief phone calls between father and daughter became rarer, and the long-distance letters only received silence in return. No one dared say that Betsy intervened, but no one could deny her invisible presence in every decision Gene Hackman made. What was most terrifying wasn't just the control, but what they had agreed to do with each other. A secret survival pact they quietly referred to as the Final PCT. No one knows exactly when this pact began, but hazy pieces started to emerge from the fragmented stories of a few old friends. One starry night in Santa Fe, in the garden of their villa, Gene and Betsy sat together beneath the velvet black sky and swore that if one of them died first, the other would never be alone. They didn't call it a romantic love vow, but rather a true survival pact, a vague commitment between 2 souls to stay together forever, regardless of right or wrong, regardless of what the future might bring. The pieces began to fit together when it was discovered that Betsy kept a strong sedative in the drawer of her bedside table. Gene Hackman, who had never suffered from severe insomnia before, had been taking the medication regularly for years. Strange dreams interrupted late-night conversations when Gene sat quietly by the window, whispering incoherent words. An old friend, the only one who still kept in touch with Gene, recalled, "I once overheard them talking. They weren't arguing, but it seemed like they were planning something neither of them wanted to speak about." No one dared to ask Gene Hackman directly about the Final PCT. Did it really exist? If so, was it a pact between 2 people in love, or was it a chain binding them in a morbid fear of separation? Outside Santa Fe, the silence remained, the high desert wind carrying the scent of dry earth and scorched grass. But inside the silent villa, there were only 2 people and a secret pact. Time passed unusually, slowly, heavily, enveloped in an indescribable chill. Betsy Arakawa, the petite woman whom Gene Hackman loved so deeply, was she his saving angel or the one who imprisoned his soul in the final years of his life? And Gene Hackman, who once portrayed powerful characters in countless roles, did he become a captive in his own marriage? The answer still lies somewhere within the unfinished pieces of the Final PCT. Santa Fe, in the midst of winter, the dry wind howled through the half-open doors of the old stone villa, which once served as the secluded home of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, now a sealed box filled with rumors and chilling tales about the final days of the film legend. What haunts the public is not only Gene Hackman's death, but also his final recording, a mystery yet to be unraveled. No one knows for sure if it truly exists, or if it's just a rumor. But the stories about it persist, more powerful than any of Gene Hackman's classic films. Those who had visited the Santa Fe villa before that fateful day whisper about something hidden, a secret Gene Hackman tried to convey in the last moments of his life. It wasn't an ordinary handwritten letter or the hurried notes of a 95-year-old man lost within familiar walls, but a trembling voice, raw and fragile, a mix of labored breaths and dry fear. "If you're hearing this, I'm sorry." The opening words of the recording, an apology without a beginning, without an end, without a destination, without explanation. It echoed in the raspy voice so characteristic of Gene Hackman, but this time, it wasn't Lex Luthor or any other fictional character. It was the voice of a man confronting his own fate. When the forensic team entered the mansion after a call from a delivery person went unanswered, they witnessed a scene that no one could forget. Everything was cold and neat. The dinner table set for two glasses facing each other, with just a few drops of amber-colored wine left on the table. There were no letters, books, or documents, only an old tape recorder lying among a pile of white napkins. The device wasn't working, no one had touched it, but it seemed like a prop waiting to be discovered by the right person. When an investigator nervously turned the machine on, everything was silent. No sound, no recording. The memory card was empty, but an internal report later noted a strange detail: a single silver hair at the bottom of the tape recorder. According to stories passed down within the Hackman family, Gene had stopped writing by hand in his 90s due to age-related tremors. Instead, every night before going to bed, he would turn on a tape recorder and talk to himself, sharing small thoughts, scattered memories of Hollywood and of Betsy. But one day, he stopped. Betsy was the one who put the tape recorder into the safe in her bedroom, saying, "This is better this way," to a close housekeeper. No one knew what she meant, but the house grew eerily silent. Some people claim they heard Leslie Hackman, Gene's daughter, admit that she had a copy of the recording, but Leslie's complete silence only fueled more speculation. Could the tape be more than just a farewell? Could it be an accusation about Betsy, a secret pact between them, or even a final plea to escape something? Did the tape recorder truly exist, or was it just a haunting phantom of the imagination for those left behind? The answer will forever remain shrouded in mystery. Although investigators found no tape recordings, they did note something strange about the home where Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa passed away. The space didn't resemble a house that had just endured a tragedy. It felt more like a cold Broadway stage. Every object, every chair, every family photo was arranged so perfectly it was unnerving. Everything almost symmetrical, as if someone had staged it all according to a meticulous script. Dim light filtered through the curtains, two glasses carefully placed on the dining table, facing each other. There was no sign of an abrupt departure, but rather the backstage of a fateful play where Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa were the leading actors, and fate was the only audience. Of all the faces that appeared after the door to the house closed, Leslie Hackman haunted the public the most. She did not cry, beg, or offer any explanations. She simply left a single statement for the press. "My father was a storyteller, and even in his final moments, he told the story he wanted to tell." No recording, no cries for help, no horrifying truth buried beneath the glossy paint of the Santa Fe mansion. No one knows exactly what happened, and it is this silence that stands as the most chilling evidence. When the Hollywood lights faded, and the door to the mansion closed for good, People still wondered, what did Gene Hackman say on his final night? And more importantly, who was truly listening? There are moments in a person's life that pass so quietly that no one remembers them. But then there are moments that become legendary, not because they are loud, but because they completely vanish from the flow of reality. That's what people whisper about the eerie final weeks at Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's Santa Fe mansion. The neighbors in Santa Fe had grown accustomed to the couple's secluded lifestyle, but never had the house been so completely isolated. No mail, no deliveries, no one coming or going, not even the longtime servants. The iron gate at the foot of the hill was closed, the electronic lock always active, and the security cameras still pointed outward. But they revealed a chilling mystery. All the exterior cameras of the mansion ceased working exactly at 5:32 p.m. on February 14th. There were no signs of malfunction, no signs of tampering. They were simply disconnected, as if someone had pulled the plug, severing the house's connection to the outside world. And from that moment on, Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa gradually disappeared into the void. Information from the local pharmacy revealed a series of puzzling transactions in the 3 months leading up to the mansion's self-imposed isolation. A large quantity of tranquilizers, painkillers, and strong sleeping pills had been repeatedly prescribed under the names of Gene and Betsy, but no one had ever seen them in person at the pharmacy. All the orders were delivered to the mansion's gate, where the delivery drivers reported they were never allowed inside. Notably, among the medications were prescriptions intended for terminal cancer patients, those preparing for a journey with no return ticket. However, Gene's medical records showed no signs of any serious illness, no cancer, no severe mental health issues. So what were these medications for? When investigators broke into the house after a missing persons report, they faced a chilling paradox. The front door was locked from the inside, the old lock in perfect condition, with no signs of tampering. Everything inside the house, from the furniture to the family photos, remained still and undisturbed. A heavy, eerie feeling enveloped the space, as if the house had frozen in time, becoming a tomb for the past, holding on to secrets that no one could decipher. A book that Gene had been reading lay face down on the armchair beside a cold cup of tea, its surface covered by a thin layer of condensation. Clothes were neatly folded, but had not been worn. The fridge was stocked with food, but there was no sign of any cooking for weeks. The bedside lamp remained on day and night, yet the double bed seemed untouched. These eerie weeks were not just a time of disappearance, but a thin line between life and death, a place where people exist, but do not truly live. A room on the second floor, where Betsy often practiced the piano, had completely changed. The piano and its stand were gone, replaced by a long table covered with a white cloth, neatly arranged with strange objects. A thick notebook listed Gene and Betsy's favorite songs, not to be listened to, but to be used in a ritual. A large medicine box was divided into compartments by time, containing powerful painkillers. 2 sealed envelopes with no names on them. Everything in the room resembled a small altar, where the owners had prepared for their own departure. Every detail, every breath showed no sign of intrusion from the outside, no violence, no trace of a struggle. All the evidence pointed to only one possibility. Gene and Betsy had locked themselves in this house, carefully orchestrating a planned exit. But why? Why would a legend, someone who once proudly walked the red carpet, an immortal icon of the silver screen, choose to disappear quietly behind the cold stone walls? What made these two people, who had spent most of their lives together, choose to carry out this strange ritual of self-isolation? Were they running from something, or had they turned themselves into actors in their final play, a play with no audience, only absolute silence? The eerie weeks passed as if they had never existed. All data was erased. All witnesses remained silent. Even Leslie Hackman, the only person Jean had called before the police broke down the door, stood in the empty room, staring at the lifeless wall, saying only one thing. They wrote the script, I couldn't change it. Perhaps those eerie weeks will forever remain a locked shadow, where memory, fear, and truth blend together, waiting for someone brave enough to step through the final door. Was it love, salvation, or just a gilded cage? That question haunted Leslie Hackman from the moment she stood on the porch of the Santa Fe estate, watching the heavy wooden door close behind the forensic investigation team. Gene Hackman, the father who had once been a solid figure in Leslie's memory, was now nothing more than a shattered legacy. And with each step she took into this final mystery, pieces of the past fell from her, leading her into a story she had never fully understood in the nearly 30 years since. Betsy Arakawa had always been portrayed by the media as a quiet woman, always standing behind supporting Gene Hackman. But as the pieces of the eerie weeks began to fall into place, Leslie started to see a different picture. Betsy was not just a companion, she may have become the one controlling every aspect of Gene's life. The medical records Leslie gathered from the hospitals in Santa Fe and Gene's personal doctor revealed disturbing details. Although Gene was still sharp enough to make treatment decisions, from medications to long-term care plans, every prescription, from sleeping pills and tranquilizers to strong painkillers, was written under Betsy's name. None of the prescriptions were directly requested by Gene. Betsy was the one who signed them. Betsy was the one who received them. Betsy had the key to the medicine cabinet. Not only that, every aspect of Gene's life was under Betsy's control, from his strict diet with precisely calculated calories to the stringent limitations on visitors. Everything was decided by her. At first, Leslie thought it was love, the love of a devoted wife for her sick husband. But the deeper she dug into the notes, the more she realized that the emails between Betsy and the medical team were not just expressions of concern. Gene shouldn't watch the news for too long. Gene should avoid people who might upset him. Gene should take this medication instead of that one. These instructions painted a picture of absolute control. No decision, no matter how small, was made without Betsy's approval. Even the way Gene was to think about his own death was controlled by her. Leslie clearly remembered Gene Hackman at the height of his career. Strong and unyielding, no one could control his thoughts. He chose roles on instinct, bluntly turning down multi-million-dollar scripts just because he didn't like them. He was willing to argue with directors, even walk off set if he felt disrespected. But as he grew older, that image seemed to fade. In his final interviews, Leslie saw her father speaking from a script that Betsy had prepared, avoiding sensitive questions. His gaze was unfocused, his hand placed on Betsy as if clinging to a lifeline, or perhaps as if she was holding him firmly in place. In 2017, as Gene's health began to decline, Leslie noticed a distinct shift in the balance of power. Betsy became the sole spokesperson, controlling every decision for Gene, even refusing interviews or a return to acting without consulting him. Leslie recalled one summer night in 2019 when she arrived for an unannounced visit. Betsy didn't answer the door immediately, and her hesitation sent a chill down Leslie's spine. When Leslie persisted, Betsy reluctantly let her in. Gene was sitting in the living room, but his eyes were dark and clouded, his smile strained, and every sentence began with an invisible submission. "Betsy thinks that. Betsy told me. Betsy said I should listen." The strong man who was once Gene Hackman was now nothing more than a shadow of his former self. Betsy insisted that every decision about his medication, even how he would die, was Gene's choice. But Leslie didn't believe it. She had seen the prescriptions Betsy had obtained for her father, the handwritten notes in the bedroom where she listed tasks to help Gene pass peacefully. That sent a chill through Leslie. The question haunted her. Did Gene Hackman really want to die? Or were all those decisions made by Betsy on his behalf? After listening to the top-secret recording, Leslie was shaken, not by the loss, but by the fear that the voice was no longer Gene Hackman's, but an echo, a reflection of Betsy, a forced declaration. She didn't hate Betsy. She couldn't hate the woman who had been by her father's side for 3 decades. But gratitude couldn't erase the doubt that Gene Hackman, the symbol of strength, may have spent his final years as a puppet, manipulated by a love that controlled him. And when the door of the Santa Fe estate closed for the last time, Leslie knew the answer. The keeper of the keys had been locked inside that house, along with secrets that would never be revealed. There are houses that never crumble, even when the people who once lived in them have gone. The Santa Fe estate is one of those places. It wasn't just Gene Hackman's final retirement home. It was a living entity, breathing in the wind that blew through windows that were never fully shut. The residents of Santa Fe called it the Whispering House. Stories spread among the neighbors, the old maintenance workers, those who had seen Gene Hackman standing by the window, silently gazing out at the San Rey de Cristo Mountains. The whispers never stopped. People believed that the breath of Gene and Betsy never left that place, not as a visible ghost, but as a memory trapped, playing over and over like an old film. Footsteps echoed at midnight on the wooden floors, doors opened and closed softly, even though the estate had been locked up for years. So the story of Gene Hackman's final message remains an unsolved mystery. Does that silence hold a truth that we cannot comprehend? Or is it just another part of the cryptic tale of a silver screen legend? These questions will forever hang in the air, like a ghost that has never left the estate in Santa Fe. Thank you for joining us as we explored these mysterious details. Be sure to follow the channel to continue accompanying us on stories that have yet to be unraveled. We will keep bringing you thrilling, intriguing, and curiosity-filled tales.